I'm pretty sure that the cake recipe that I'm going to make, I grew up with it, so I know it's 60 years old, and my mother's 92, and she grew up with it, and it was served at funerals, it was served at family reunions in North Texas, where we grew up on the Red River. But I think that the Pillsbury, or one of the companies, did a take on it from maybe a baking contest that somebody won, but there was an original nectar cake with an apricot or an orange glaze on it that I have in the old recipe books from the early 1900s. But I think this recipe was put on the back of the cake boxes, cake mix box, for the Duncan Hines, maybe. I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to use that recipe and follow it. And it always makes a good cake. It's easy. You stir it up. You put it in your bundt pan, your tube pan, and bake it, and then let it cool. Then glaze it with confectionery sugar, and that's just about it. And it's a good cake. Okay. The only difference is that I'm doing today. Let me get my paper here. The only difference I'm doing today is I bought a deluxe butter cake. I buy this Food Club because they're about $1.50 at the little country grocery store I go to. I could buy Duncan Hines, and I could buy this, and I could buy that. I don't think there's any sense in it. I think that you get I think it's just as easy and the best value to use stuff that you can buy at a lower price, especially at today's prices. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my one box cake, yellow cake mix, and I'm going to, now this has sugar in it. I do have the ones, let me see, I do have, Pillsbury makes a 0 sugar classic yellow, and you could use that in this recipe. Today I'm not going to. Occasionally I will for Mother and I on cakes, because neither one of us need all the sugar, but this one I found out to be okay with it. And the jello that I'm going to use has got sugar, so we just can't have a very big piece, but we still get my granny's and aunt's flavor of the old-timey, or the 1950s cake. So we'll just put that lemon jello in. Now I know it says Apricot Nectar, and you think, well, you're using lemon. Well, you need the citrus flavor, and that's where it really didn't matter. But see, what I'm going to do is since I had the yellow cake mix, I should have used a lemon cake mix, but I didn't buy it. So I'm going to put a cap full of lemon extract. Just a plain old surefine lemon extract. You know, I remember my grandmother telling me that her mother would put this on a cotton ball behind their neck, lemon extract to because they didn't have perfume, and they'd use this when they were going out on a date or something. I don't think it smells very good, but maybe so. Now I've got to get my apricot nectar here. Now what I did is I just buy, and here's more sugar, in the heavy syrup. These are unpeeled. But I don't use, I just use the nectar out of them. You can buy that's in the Latin section that's in a can. I've never used it, but somebody told me you could. Very easy. Okay, let me get my, looking for my opener. I don't have my opener, so I'll do it. Don't do this at home like I told you. I will strain out my, I'm going to have to open it anyway. I better just open it because I've got to open it anyway. I was thinking, hold on. Okay. Now we want 1 cup of that. See how those come? They're just, so we will take our sieve, and that's probably about a cup. That's probably about a cup in there. It smells really good. Now what I do with this is I incorporate, when I have to buy the can and I can't find just the nectar and I have the apricots, I mix them in with my powdered sugar glaze. I need a half a cup, but I need 4 eggs. Okay, we'll do 4 eggs. 1. Now I'll put this recipe in the comments. 2, 3, 4. There I've got my 4 eggs. Really easy. Really easy to do. Let me get this wiped up. Now then, I'm going to use my half a cup. I use olive oil or vegetable oil, either one. So I've got that part done. I don't think I want to get the big mixer out. I'm not going to get the big mixer out, so I'm going to just use my Granny's hand mixer to froth the eggs. And no telling how many cakes my grandmother made with this mixer. Then finally, Mother said she was, I think maybe 18 by the time they got electricity. They were going to go to the rodeo, and she was in the kitchen taking a bath in one of the old tubs, and the lights came on. They had set it up months before, and they'd set it up months before. So they were going to go to that rodeo, and she said, the lights just came on, and I guess they've been on ever since. I don't know. But she's 92. She can tell some interesting stories about ranch life and on the Red River. You know, think about this mixer if you had to make 5 cakes for Christmas or whatever. Boy, you had to have some muscles back then. It does whip. I've even seen grandmothers make big bowls of egg whites. But most of the time she used her electric mixer, and I still have it, and I've got my KitchenAid, and I've got the big ones, those big mixers, but I don't use them. We'll just whip the rest of that with our spoon. Let me get a good wooden spoon here. See, it's just dump and pour. Now the other recipes that I have for this from the early days, they were a little more, because you had to measure out all that cake flour and flour and all that different things. This one is just easy. Let me get my pan and I'll be back. You know, I got to thinking, that looks kind of flat to me. So, and I don't really want to save these apricots for the glaze. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the apricots out of the can. And let me move this. Apricots out of the can. This is only if you buy the apricots in the can, you can't find the liquid. Just kind of chop them with your wooden spoon because they're very soft, like a puree. See, that's just kind of, there's no sense in kind of wasting that, not really. So what I'm going to do is I decided I would use my little garage sale mixer to beat this because I want it a little more fluffy. So in the recipe, I will put down how to do it, what the recipe says exactly, instead of improvising, so you know exactly. So let's just incorporate the apricot puree into the cake mix. And let's beat it on high. And you want to get that fluffy so when it rises, it will go as far as it can. I'd say beat that about 2 minutes. Okay, I beat that about 2 minutes. I always buy this Food Pub cooking sprayer you can get any that has the flour in it. Keeps me from having to flour these pans. So I shake it good and then I just spray it. Make sure you get your little appendage in the top part sprayed, because you don't want your cake to stick. I'd rather have too much than not enough. I try not to use a lot of stuff that's got a lot of byproducts in it. But one reason I do it this way is because if you use the flour and you get too much or you don't knock it out of your pan enough, it will cause your cake to be white on top from the flour. So now we're just going to take this and pour this, and you can set it on that little thing there. These big old bowls are heavy, but I like them. I've got a thing you can set your bowls on or pour this, but of course you know I'll never use it. Okay, there's our cake in the pan. Wipe off any excess because you don't want that. But we'll put that into our oven. And we're going to bake it probably 40 minutes. In the convection oven, it will probably take, it says to bake it on 325, so I'll put in there 325 for 40 minutes and then I'll check it. And we'll see how it turns out. I know what y'all are waiting for. I heard the sound go off. Let's check our cake. Let's get our cake out of the oven and see what it's done. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get our little knife and just kind of go around, because that baked very well and it pulled away, so I think that will be fine. But you always want to go around to make sure. That's still pretty warm, remember? I used my little thing. Got all those hot pads and stuff. We hope it comes out. We hope it does. We'll see. It does. There we go. It came out. Came out very beautifully. We'll just kind of move it a little bit and let it. You can leave it on that and let it cool if you want to. That's one good thing, is it's a screen mesh. So I'll set it there. But what I was going to show you real quick is that I had that bowl that had the apricots in it. So what I'm going to do is just get me another little half a cap, not a whole cap, just a half a cap of the lemon extract. There's that perfume smell again. And I'm going to put in 2 sweetened loaves just in this. This is my own cake because we've already got enough sugar in that cake for Mother and I to fly to the moon with our sugar. So I just think this does not need it, but I feel like, let me get a little Mexican vanilla and we'll put just a hair of that, do one little half cap. Mexican vanilla. I do not think the cake needs it. You could eat it with butter and or just by itself. But the tradition, I don't like breaking it. So now I'll take a little water and put in that. We're going to try this. I had bought, Walmart sells this xanthan gum, which you can use it for thickening and stuff, and gluten. A lot of gluten bakers use it, and it becomes kind of like a jelly. It's just a white powder. So let's try about tablespoon first and just see what that does. I may have to strain it to get the lumps out. To make a good, probably will. Sometimes I've used it once or twice before and it always lumps up, but it does give it a glaze consistency. And I don't really know, I'd have to research to see if there's a better alternative. That's too much, I think, for that. Let me get a little more water. Out of my dispenser. Pour it on that spoon and get that off of there. And we'll see if it finally dissolves. But I like a glaze on a cake, some kind of glaze to seal in the pores, you know. And I always try to put a glaze if I'm going to have it more than one day to eat. And I don't like that because it's got the white in it, but you probably could use an apricot preserve on the cake or anything like that. I would think you could use that. I will try. Let me rinse this off and get a bowl. We're going to see. We'll put that in our save. Screen save. And then we'll, and it may be too, sometimes that will, put a little water in that. You hold that sieve down into the water of the bowl, then do this. You're going to have better luck because it will finally, the water helps disperse it out through the small holes. And that was quite a bit. So now then, you've got a little better looking glaze there. And then add a little more water. That's getting to where we want it to be. But for those of you that don't need to worry about the sugar, I just used, let's see, my recipe says, allow the cake to cool in the pan for 15 minutes, then carefully loosen it from the sides of the pan, inverting the cake onto a serving platter. While your cake is cooling, whisk together confection sugar, lemon juice until smooth, and brush the glaze on the warm cake. The glaze will harden into a satiny finish as the cake cools. It says the apricot nectar can often be found in the juice aisle of the grocery store. So this answers our, what I just read on, for the apricot nectar. Common brands are JUMEX or Goya. And the nectar is often packaged in an aluminum can like a soda pop can. If you can't find apricot nectar, mango nectar or peach nectar are substitutes that works very well. Okay. Well, there's our glaze. Let's get a test spoon. We don't know about the sugar yet, do we? Probably one more packet of the sugar. So that would be 3 packets. And that'll just sweet and low. I've got the other sugar, but I think sweet and low is better for when I'm using as a glaze. I like the sweet and low better. Okay. Let me get my brush here. Now y'all think this takes too long and all that. Really you don't. You make the cake and pour it in your pan, bake your cake, then take some lemon juice, a little bit of water, and a little bit of confectionery sugar, whip it, and then just drizzle it. But with me, I'm going to just coat the cake so that it stays moist. That's exactly what I'm doing right now around the edges, and that just gives it a little seal. If I was going to serve this, I probably would still do this, even if I was going to serve it at a function in one day. I just think it makes the cake look better, taste better. One reason I like these little grease things is because it's got that handle on it and you can just turn it like a cake dolly and it works just as good. Yeah, I think we've got it. I'll just slather that on there now. And that's one way to have to keep from getting so much sugar, even though the cake does have it. But that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, there's our apricot nectar cake. I hope y'all enjoy a piece. I wish you was here to have a piece with us. I'm going to let it cool for a little while, and then I'm going to serve it to Mother and I for an afternoon with a cup of tea. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.